Good afternoon, everybody. How are we all? Hello, Liz. Hello, Rob. Hello, Heather. How are we this fine Wednesday afternoon? The last Wednesday in July. Slightly overcast today with the sun trying to come out. Highs of 19 degrees. Oh. Hello, Rosemary. Good afternoon. Hello, Saskia. How are you? Hi, Sue. Let's get some bird song on. Hello, Sue. Yes, I'm all right, thank you. Hay fever is a bit hay feverish, but other than that, I'm all right. Got Jackie here for a bit. She's done a sort of split shift today. She's done a bit morning and a bit afternoon. She's a bit all over the place. Hello, Christine. Hello, Christine. There's not an echo. I've just said hello to the both of you. Oh, my hay fever. Hello, Sandra. My hay fever. It's been really bad lately. It's all my nose and my throat. I'm having to take 2 one-a-days. One in the morning and one in the evening. It's a bit annoying, considering I don't normally have hay fever. But since lockdown, it's been quite bad. Hello, Anne. Let's say hello, Jackie.
Hello.
Jackie says hello, just in case the mic didn't pick it up. I'm just going to jump onto Discord now to see which of my fans are eagerly awaiting to have a chat, a personal chat to me. I am now. Hello. Yeah. Hello, Anne. How are you? Yes. It is. This is that Welsh rainforest, and this is right at the top, so it's a really low drop down the other side. Yeah, we're painting lots of different angles of it. I took enough photographs, so I've got enough for lots of classes worth. It's tricky, isn't it? And they do, if you like painting sort of more dales and mountains and things, it's they crop up a lot, dry stone walls, don't they? No, they're not. Feels like England in Canada, does it? Good morning, Kathy. Bit of rain. Is it quite cloudy? Well, we had a glorious spring, and now we're having a soggy summer, aren't we? Oh, is it? Nice. I like the sound of that. It has been muggy here. Muggy. I love the word muggy. 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 It is. Embosser. Yeah, yeah. Hello, D. I will wait just another minute or so. Hello, Harry. Oh, lovely. Will he chew it as much as you lot do? Okay, another minute and I will start.
I know.
So, mainly a 2B pencil. Or HB, depending on the set that you have. I still haven't upgraded mine, so I've got my little stumpy pencils that I'll be using. Yes. And as usual, we will... I was very impressed with all of last week's blue tits. Very good. Yes, you did, and then you said you were tempted to add colour, but it wasn't a coloured one. So have you added colour, Rosemary? Ah. I do have to say that the I so to when I tinted on Dee's recommendation, when I tinted my blue tint last week, I used these Graphitint paint pan pocket sets, which are more muted. It makes it look more like a vintage ladybird book illustration. So it's like water soluble graphite, but in subtle colours. So you've got sort of like browns and greys and plums and blues and greens, and a few oranges and yellows. That's a yellow, even though it looks green. But it does work really beautifully. So I can't remember how much these sets are. We have got them on Shop Happy. I can't remember. They'll be about 20 something pounds, I imagine. But really, really lovely for subtle colours. Hello, Carol. Yeah, it's A4, and I always start with a 2B pencil, but in the Caran d'Ache ones, the HB pencil is soft enough because they're softer than other brands. So I use an HB. So you haven't missed anything. I've just been waffling, Carol. I always wait till 10 past so people can log in and find their feet, put their feet up, have a cuppa. Hello. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because there's no standardization in pencils, so every brand will be different. But it's good to use whatever you. Is this your first drawing class, Carol? I know it's not your first class, but is it your first drawing class? Right, so we're going to do our bit of measuring with our hands and fingers. Round about a third of the way down, or almost 4 fingers up from the bottom, that's going to be our back line, and I'm just going to do a light line for the background. Oh, I'm on the second page of my Sea White book today, Liz. We're twins. So round about that height. Doesn't have to be perfectly straight either. And then round about 4 fingers in from the left and about 3 fingers high that goes slightly over this line and below the line there. This is your shape for your first bit of the wall. Hello Janet, how lovely to see you virtually. Lovely to have you back. So this is all very lightly and very loose and free because we don't want to tie ourselves too soon. So this is where it starts to look more like an abstract painting, and then we turn it hopefully into a drawing or a sketch that looks vaguely like the image that we're aiming towards. Then 4 fingers across. I feel like I'm doing a crossword. 4 across. And then this one, that was 3 fingers. This one's 2 fingers. And it's wonky, so it doesn't actually have to. So this is over. This is almost a hand span across, or just 2 or 3 fingers off with a gap. What's that? Sorry. Oh. Yeah, you need enough light, but not too much light, don't you? This is the thing. Oh, Carol, interesting question. So, what do you mean by rubs out? Does it smudge, or what paper are you using? Because it might be more your paper than your pencil. But I can recommend these pencils. I can't recommend them enough, actually. As a massive naysayer of the brand, several years ago, I converted without any persuasion once I tried them for the first time. So round about, I don't know either. If you've got a big finger, use a finger width, or about a thumb width if you've got a thin thumb. This is going to be the end of the wall. So it's all about the planning. Yeah, I'm thinking it's more than likely your sketch pad, more so than. Are they Smith's pencils as well, Carol? They're not too bad, Smith's sketching pencils. Just to start to save shelling out loads of money while you've got them. It's probably more so your paper's not textured enough to hold the graphite. So it's more than likely that's the answer. Well, that's it. That's the trouble with the forest, isn't it? there's there's quite a few trees. It is, but the aim of today is to how to use the photograph to give the impression without actually doing all of these. Because there is a lot of tree. The main tree, obviously, is the one that sort of comes out around about a finger width just behind the smaller wall. Boldmere pencils. They're all right. They're not great, if I'm honest, Carol. But I'm guessing it's more likely your paper, or even probably a combination of them. But it all depends on your budget. I'm not a hard seller. They're laughing. They're laughing in my ear when I said that. Um, but I would say for about, I don't know, £25 you could get yourself that a really good set of pencils and a decent pad from a lovely little art shop in Banbury, Parson Street. Um, and they even do online, and if you're local they'll deliver. Sometimes with a smile if Jackie's doing it. Oh, that's not true. Chris has just said you always know when I've got too many things in my shop because I always do a lesson on them and then I sell them. That's not always true. It might happen occasionally. It used to be back in the old school days of retail when you'd got stuff that wasn't selling. That's when you'd do a really nice window display, and everything would sell from the window display. Oh, the laughing online as well. Liz has just called this Barry's shopping channel. Well, that's what it's all about, isn't it, Alfie? Right. So let's. So I'm just sketching out the width of these um, branches. So if you notice, we've got one branch that is sort of more towards us that I'm doing now. I'll do this a little bit darker. I remember trying to do an online video. I think I was doing a live video one Christmas about 4 years ago. Do you remember this, Jackie? When I was trying to show you how easy it was to assemble the St Paul's easel, and I got in a right mess, didn't I? I got easel legs all over the place, and I couldn't get it to stand up. And it is easy, honest. I don't think QVC would have me, to be honest. It is still available as a video on the Facebook page. So this is our main tree. So I want this in. Excellent, Carol. Are you Banbury-ish then? Oh, you have. Excellent. Yeah, you should be able to see everybody else's comments. But I've got 4 people in my ear as well, so you won't hear them or see them. Um, they're communicating. Yeah, I deliberately keep these people offline and just in my ear because it's much safer that way. Rosemary. Oh, you're from Hooky. Bring me some beer. Oh, I do like a nice ale. I'm quite partial to a porter as well, actually. I haven't had a porter for a while. They did some lovely porters in the the mini pub in Church Lane. That was quite nice. No, the apothecary tap. I think he's open that you can get stuff if you message him, but he's he's too small really for social distance. It's a bit like the classroom here. It's not ideal, and because like with this place here, it's all about the whole community aspect and the the friendliness of it. It's not really the same. I was just reading an article about a trial music concert that went on in, can you remember in the Grand in Clapham, and it was 1,200 seater, and they could only fit 200 people in, with social distancing, and it actually didn't make enough money to cover the building costs, let alone the singer, the performer. So it's not looking quite viable at the moment for live music either. So it's a tricky time for either small places like our classroom here, or for big venues that relies on bums on seats, isn't it? Really, I think that's the difficult part. Or go to a pub. Yeah, I know. I mean, in a theatre or a concert, you can sit down and you're all facing one direction, and not the band, obviously, just the actual direction. Unless you're at a One Direction concert, then you're doing One Direction, facing One Direction. Um, but and you can wear a mask, can't you? There, because you're not eating or you're not drinking. So I don't know. But then at a pub, it's very different. But the arts always get an harder time, don't they? The arts. Yes, because you are quite cooped up, aren't you, in a theatre? No. Well, I think they're restricting how many drinks people have in pubs, or they're supposed to, aren't they? So they don't get drunk. Yeah, it's it's just a very different time now, isn't it? Do you need any temporary filling stuff? I've got some in the car. We've had some nice stickers from American Express, because we take American Express in the shop. We're one of the few places that do American Express. But I'll take anything, as you know, that's legal. We'll do checks, cash, um, card, IOUs. But they've got this Love Local campaign to support small businesses, so they sent us some stickers. So that's nice of them. Yeah, no, I don't think so. I used to always in my youth, I used to say, "Do you take card?" And they go, "Yes," and I'd whip out an ace of diamonds. That's because it's a card. It never used to go down well. I used to find it hilarious, but the shops didn't. Yeah, but never mind. I do get asked a lot if it's cheaper for cash. No, it's not. No. So I've just sketched out roughly where the grassy bit is, the grassy bit. I'm going to actually make it more of a narrower path, to be honest. So this was on my. I just climbed quite a steep embankment. There's a lovely river and waterfall about 90 feet below the side of the wall on the right hand side. And this is on the top plateau. There is a slightly higher part here, but people actually live up here. There are some houses, but through here, um, through this thing and a bit further on, there's a ruined building. Beautiful. Took photos of that as well. I think a squirrel is a good idea for that, um, Liz. Get yourself a squirrel. Nip to the park. As long as you feed them with nuts, you'll be all right. No, but in terms, Liz was saying she struggled with the coverage on the poppy picture and the hare one on Saturday. When you're covering large areas, you want a really good soggy brush, don't you, that really soaks up. Well, I'll show you what we did in a second. Last night was acrylic. We did 2 acrylic classes yesterday. One was a moonlit bay scene, and then last night was sunset and lavender fields. I'll show you both of them shortly. So we've got sort of we've got this, and then we've got, it goes over the edge there. We don't want to do too much yet with the wall. It's more about the background fuzziness, really, and all of those trees. There's a mixture of birch trees, fir trees. It's ancient English, well, Welsh trees, British trees, native. It's a beautiful place. So this is Coed y Felin, I think it is, near Maen Trwrog. If I said that right, Robert. Hey, excellent. And it is a Welsh rainforest, and it's not well advertised or signposted. It's actually off the only way you can park is on a lay-by, and then it's next to a hydro power station or something on the opposite side of the river. When I went, it was last June, and we'd had that lovely heat wave, so a lot of the waterfalls that were running down were quite dry and just a trickle, but it's obviously, because it's a rainforest, it's got its own atmosphere, so it was absolutely beautiful to climb. You need the thoughtful benches just at the right time when you're fit for collapsing after climbing the rocky path, because it goes up and up and up and up and up and up. Stunning place. I did it on my way home, actually, because I was determined to find it, and I found it. Really lovely. So if you enjoy hiking and you like Wales, North Wales, and you want to experience a Welsh rainforest, I can let you know where it is. So it's lovely. Nice couple of hours hiking. Right, so now we've got to think about our background. Yeah, I've sort of if I do it a little, I'll do it a little bit darker. And I've made the path a little bit narrower, so I've added more grass. I've added grass on the left hand side as well. Can you see that a bit better now? So I've just sketched out the pathway. I am going to show you the 2 pictures now before we get into it. Let me nip and so this was Tuesday yesterday afternoon, which is lovely. The pictures I've seen look lovely of these. Nice, interesting tones. So this is acrylics with the moonlight and the sea. And then last night's was this one. So it was nice to get the glow of the sun on the lavender fields. So they're both available as catch-up if you wanted to do them. What, do a new one or paint on that one? Do a new one. Yeah, that's fair enough. Right, I've got my dirty stump now. You know I love my dirty stump. You're gonna have to spend time dirtying it, Rosemary. And I'm gonna mind you, mine's rubbing out. I'll show you how to dirty your stump. I'll just colour it in with a graphite stick. You can dirty it once you started smudging. It will go dirty, but and I'm doing little sort of strokes, sort of circular strokes. So this is going to give us the idea of foliage and what have you. in the background be quite loose and jerky. This afternoon I'm going to upload the hair tutorial that we did, the free class on Saturday. I'm going to put that on our YouTube channel today. So there's because obviously not everybody's on Facebook. As lovely as I think Facebook is and useful it is, I can see why people don't like it. I'm just doing the idea of distant foliage. I might use this to do some distant tree trunks actually. You don't have to do the sound effects, but honestly they help massively. See, that's quite a quick way of getting a few slightly distant trees in there. Well, look how filthy mine is. Look, it's massively filthy. But I have done a lot more painted pictures with it, though. I mean, I'm probably a couple of 100 pictures in with that dirtiness of my stump. Yeah, you see, I did clean this once with a knife to try and get the point back, because that's the only issue, is that obviously the more you use it, the more blunted it gets. However, I don't want to clean the graphite off it. I might switch to a new stump at some point, because I'm starting to slowly retire a lot of my materials, and I could raffle them off. If I was famous, I could raffle them off, couldn't I? What do I mean, if I was famous? I know. Right, so, oh God, no. Crime Watch. I don't know. What I could call my show a touch of burnt sienna. Or dries 30% lighter. Or, I don't know. What could it... So, Facebook, over to you. What would my TV programme be called? Where's my squirrel? Yeah. Get your squirrel out and splosh it about. Right, so those are our very, very distant trees. It's amazing what you can do. So what I find useful about, I mean, these paper stumps are really only for blending and smudging. However, what I find is using them to do misty or diffused objects in the distance is really good, because you don't get hard lines. They're always going to be soft, subtle edges to them. Barry's Shopping. I can't call my TV Barry's Shopping. BSC we could call it, couldn't we? Or just BS for short. BSC. And I'd have to talk like a proper presenter, I suppose, and be nice. God, can you imagine that? So I'm doing a few dots and squiggles to indicate distant foliage. I used to have a student in Hookie, Carol. I used to go and do tuition. Lovely house she lived in, not too far from the brewery. Gorgeous lake and everything. Art from the White House. Oh, that's nice. I could be like the bear in the big blue house, couldn't I? Obviously, only those with children or grandchildren in their early 20s would know who Bear in the Big Blue House was. Don't ask me how I know. I don't even have children, but I used to love watching the Bear in the Big Blue House. Oh, Jackie's made a sale. Well done. First one of the day. Art Therapy Channel. Oh, yes. I could light a joss stick and then we'd have to do a painting. We'd have until the joss stick burned out to do the picture. Oh no, some of the joss sticks I've got, don't they? They burn quite quickly. I'd get a fan on it if I wanted to hurry up. Right, so how's your background looking? Is it looking a bit woodlandish, foresty? Or is it just a mess? Hopefully not a mess. We don't want it to be a mess. I'm going to carry on using the 2B or HB pencil, and I'm going to use it more on its edge to do some other trees. Oh, I've gone a bit wonky there. Mind you, these trees aren't they? They're ancient. They're going all over the place. It's fine. Embrace the wonk. So if you notice, I'm not using my pencil on its point. I'm using it on its side, and that it does give slightly wider trees. It gives an added bit of texture. Yeah. So we're not doing the big trees. Oh, I've uploaded the for those of you that watched the live VE Day tribute concert that I did on VE Day this year. I've now uploaded it to the Bo Norton YouTube channel. I've only just learnt how to do that because I couldn't post longer videos than 15 minutes out to verify my account. So now I have. I've started putting a lot of the live shows on YouTube. Now the key is not to try and get all your branches that come off these trees going in the same direction with the same shape, which is really hard to do because you get in the zone, don't you? And before you know it, do I sell stumpy pencils? What kind of a question is that to ask a gentleman? Wider pencils, do you mean? Or are you just being funny? Mind you, look at some of how short these pencils are getting that I've got now. I'm not going to waste them though. I'm still going to use them. They're almost gnome-sized pencils. You know, I love a gnome. So vary your pressure. So you'll get darker trees, lighter trees. You want to create that feeling of a bit of a forest. We don't want to spend too long on something like this though, because it is just the background. Let's do one that comes off the page, off the left hand side, and comes across like this. That might have to do, I think. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep going, aren't I? You're trying to be funny. Do you think it's the size of my pencil that makes a difference then, Liz? Because it's shorter, it's easier. It probably is actually easier to hold. The one that's full length is the 2H. Right, I can show you with a longer pencil. If you see how I'm holding it this way round, I then flip it and tip it. So I can do it with a longer pencil. But yeah, my pencils are all little stumpy ones. Because you know what I'm like. I like to get my money's worth out of my products. But shorter pencils are really useful. But no, it's not as easy. No, so the key is just to do lots more drawing, Liz. to wear your pencils down, or snap them in half, and then you've got two for the price of one. See, I said I wasn't going to do any more. What did I do? Some more. Wonky's good. Wonky is good. Now, if you've done some darker trees, you can just use your pencil on its side just to do a few little jerky foliage bits randomly, because obviously the ones that we did earlier on mine have sort of disappeared. Oh gosh, Liz, you don't want to break a finger trying to snap your graphite. It happens normally when you try not to snap them and then you just drop it on the table a bit too heavily and then it shatters in two. That's what happened with mine. I didn't snap it on purpose, but I'm glad that I did, because it means I can get into a few nooks and crannies with the graphite sticks. Happy accidents, absolutely. I suppose I'm working with my pencil a bit a similar way as I would with charcoal or pastels, where I'm doing little blocks and dabs. So we're painting like Monet in the morning in acrylics on the Art for the Anxious. So if you want to join us and channel your inner impressionist, we're doing that tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. Quarter to 3 already. Can you believe you've suffered me for 45 minutes already? You didn't even take time to think about that, Chris. Yeah, it's tricky because you're sort of. I'm not doing definite shapes. At some I'm sort of bringing my pencil again. It's on its side down in little sweeps or up. So I'm sort of scribble. Yeah, it is a sort of jerky scribble, really. I mean, it's going to sort of. If I zoomed in on this, you'd see these didn't look like leaves either, but they will in the end. Absolutely, it's to let the. And I've said this before. When about art and you do your picture, whoever's looking at your art is called the viewer. A bit like with telly. And occasionally, I think we can be too guilty of giving them all the information, so they've got nothing to think about and nothing to look at. Whereas if you can sort of be less fiddly and have sort of less finesse and a little bit more freedom, it makes your work a lot better, because they've got something to get lost in or get absorbed in and think about, instead of it all being there. So what would happen, and it's the same with any form of art, painting or drawing, what you want someone to do is to look at it more than once. And generally, when it's, a really good, perfectly finished picture that could be a photograph, once you've looked at it and squinted and screwed your nose up and gone, wow, that could be a photograph, then it might as well be a photograph, because then it just becomes an appreciation of skill. Whereas if you can do something that still looks like a good picture, but allows the viewer to think about things and find things, they'll be able to look at it several times. And they can live with it. I think that's the thing when people can live with a piece of work, is they can look at it several times a day and find something new in it, or something different that they hadn't spotted before. And I think that's a good sign of a good drawing or painting, to be honest. That's just my view. Oh, did you? Oh wow, well done. It has. It's lots of little tips and techniques. So yeah, if you've not seen the Facebook post this morning, we've put up a free download of it's called The Touch of Burnt Sienna, the book, funnily enough, and it's a 70-page free download off the website, and it's just lots of hints, tips and musings, a few facts and figures about art. It's all arty stuff, how to get creative, a bit similar to the podcast that we did. We can't do the podcast anymore because we've done our allotted episodes without me having to pay £20 a month, and since we only had 6 people listening to it, it wasn't really conducive to this, and so they'll all stay there. The podcasts will stay there, but so I thought if I put some of them in a PDF file that's a free download, it would help everybody. Right, so no more foliage. What's that? It happens though, doesn't it? You get into the zone, and then you will find that you'll have areas that are a little row. I did that with something last night, I think. I started, and all of my lavender was exactly in the same position, in the same line and everything. Yeah, so this tree is the important one that will cover up a lot of issues. I don't know, it depends how I feel, to be honest. I might put something else in afterwards, because the tree that's to the right of the big tree here is really quite dark, and I don't know. I don't want to do it that dark, because I think it would bring things forward too much, or it would become the focal point. I am going to use it. I'm going to use the same pencil again on its side and go a little bit thicker for this tree. just to indicate and hint. This one's been hacked at by the looks of the photo. And I might do... there's not very many thick trees, are there, in the foreground bits? Let's do another one up here. You sawed your graphite last week, Dee, did you? What, in half? It is useful, I mean, when you think you've got a really long, like with these graph cube ones, you've got a really long one, but then I prefer one about that size. It's the same as when I use pastels. I much prefer the half sticks to the full length ones, because they invariably break anyway, don't they? But you do get a much wider range of colours. This is all still with the same pencil. I haven't switched pencils yet, so I've just varied the pressure. I like to do as much as I can with one pencil, and then I switch up, because if you get too dark too quickly, A, you can't rub it out, and B, your foreground's got to be almost black, really. The next thing I'll do with this pencil, and probably the last thing, is the textured for the floor, because that is quite a bit paler. And then I'll switch up one. Well, that's wise, very, very good if you just took the saw to it instead. I'd have just tried throwing it around the place and then ended up with like 6 pieces and got really annoyed. So we've certainly filled the forest. So we've done the foresty bit. It'll just be the tree, the wall, and the path bits is the next bit. It was a very dull grey day, so that there wasn't strong light sources in this. I wouldn't dream of saying it gets a bit dull or grey in North Wales at all. I love it though. Oh. Huh. Oh, I do love Bryn Tervel.
Hello, the artery.
He's got a very good voice, he has. Right, so I'm going to think now, we've got the path and stuff to do, but because we've done the background bit, now, and it's a couple of minutes to 3, we'll have a quick, grab yourself a cuppa or a gin, and we will reconvene just after 3 o'clock. It'll give you a time to catch up if you need to as well. And then we'll start again just before 3:05, I reckon. Back in a bit, kettle's going on. I have returned. I'm sure you've all missed me. No comment. Have you caught up? No? Yes? Have you not got your slave today, Rosemary? Have you got your slave, Liz? Oh. I'm just going to use my 2B while it's sitting there, just to lightly skim over where I want the path. So I'm doing it in horizontal motion. Lighter at the back, a little bit darker towards the front. Oh gosh, no, you don't want to pay. Oh, you've told him when time is tea time, have you? So you've got it at 3:30. Okay. I need to go again to these people.
Oh, I know, me too.
I want to get some half moons. Yeah, I do. I'm going to take a photo of Geppetto in and say, can you match these glasses, please? So I'm going to pop my little my HB pencil or my 2B pencil away now. So how's it going? You're all very quiet on Facebook. Doing all right? Okay. I know. It is difficult though. I think everybody's more self-critical, aren't they, when they see the work, because you're so close to it. And then when you see the amazing masterpieces that I create in front of you, it's, you know, it's understandable that you all feel so inferior. Oh dear. I know, but I told you, Rosemary, I know you absolutely hate painting insects, but they're always your best pieces. It's funny, isn't it? Yeah, well, we'll stick to my word for it for now. But no, it is interesting how as well as how we see our own work. Oh dear, Sue, did you say a naughty word when you stubbed your toe? Would it be more as of a surprise though, Liz, if you didn't make one at all? I just said surprise. Have you done your path? So your path's your HB or your 2B pencil. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dab it with my putty eraser. Oh, I haven't even unwrapped this. This is from when I opened the companion drawing set last week to show you what was in it, and then I decided to keep it. I don't imagine you know several naughty words, Sue. I'm just going to dab the back end of the path so it's a bit lighter. It wouldn't be a surprise because he's got a memory like a sieve.
What wouldn't be a surprise?
If he forgot to make her a cup of tea. See, I've made Jackie 3 cups of tea since she's been here today.
Ren will do things eventually. You don't have to nag them every 6 months. Isn't that right?
I never need nagging
No,
for
I know, it's a
anything,
joke,
actually.
It's a joke.
You're an old bird. I'm sure you're not an old bird, Carol. I know this is a thing, you can't pause me in real life or mute me, can you? That's probably why the catch-up ones are so popular. Because they can mute me or fast forward me or turn me off. Liz has just said, have I really made you 3 cups of tea? Yes, thank you. Did you hear that? And I didn't have a gun to her head then. She actually offered that up voluntarily. I always make the tea here.
Yeah, he does. He's a good boss.
Nice loose leaf in a pot. That's how it goes. We're on M&S Gold Blend at the moment.
I know.
It's lovely. I'm going to have to top up before they close. 8th of August. No. No, I would have preferred them to stay or just keep the food hall open until at least the Lidl stall opens. I don't know. Lizzie just said that's because I make every time you go out the room to put the kettle on, he pinches a biscuit. I don't pinch any biscuits, and it's me that puts the kettle on. I just confirm. If the biscuits are just randomly left here when Jackie leaves for the day, I don't want them to go stale, so I have to eat them, really, because I don't like my staff to have inferior snacks. So I have to take one for the team and eat the biscuits that are left over, so they can always have fresh ones. That's what it's all about. Honest. I'm not even going to relay that message to her, Rosemary, because it's the truth. It's the truth, I tell you. Okay, so if you remember when we did the blue tip last week, I used my graphite stick to skim over for a bit of texture, and I'm just gonna skim over my wall. I'm going to leave the top bit because that's going to be more mossy. Also, my graphite stick's got curved edges now from using it, so I can't do bottom bits and top bits anyway, no matter how much I try. Sue's going to get us an airtight biscuit tin so I can't eat the stuffed ones. Whose side are you lot on? Sometimes I really wonder. I have heard it is a definite for the 8th. Yes, Janet, sadly. I've heard it now of several people, and I think I saw it on Banbury FM. That August the 8th is the definite closure of M&S in Banbury Town Centre. Obviously, there is still the Banbury Gateway, Marks and Spencer's.
No, I heard their staff saying it
if you can find a parking space. But so yeah, it is frustrating. I mean, Gateway M&S is actually my local. It's the same for you then, Robert, isn't it? It's our closest supermarket, but I try not to go there. Um, but then the issue I have sometimes, I mean, I've not really used supermarkets since lockdown, but before lockdown, I'd like to support the town centre, Marks and Spencer, but it's shut at 6. So when I finished work at 5:30, quarter to 6, I can't get down there in time to get what I need. So then if I do want M&S stuff, then I have to go to the Gateway one, which is sad. But then occasionally I will nip to, depends which way I go home. Sometimes I nip to Waitrose. I never shop in Tesco's, um, just because of my own personal beliefs about the business. And all the other supermarkets are on the opposite side of town to me. So will I use Lidl? Probably not, to be honest.
It used to be an Amazon.
Yeah. I mean, I used to go to Aldi all of the time. Aldi was my weekly shop, but it gets so busy in there, and they don't replenish the shelves as often, or they didn't used to.
And you used to spend too much money in the Isle of Dreams.
I did used to spend too much money in the Isle of Joy down the middle. You know, you'd go in for a banana and you'd come back with a Tenta camping stove and a flamingo
Some fluffy slippers.
sleep, yeah, and some
Box.
fluffy singers and a chainsaw. Absolutely, it's amazing what you can get there. So it's quite bad. So now I get my basically all my shopping is through Abel and Cole and the Milkman, and they don't have such wonderful, joyous things there for bargainous prices. So it stops me from overspending. That's for sure. Right, so I've got my textured wall, and then I'm going to go in with maybe a 5B or 7B, and I'm going to start outlining the stone shapes. Now it's up to you. I should be doing it on the other side really to start with. Well, no, it's a bit of a trek, isn't it, to go to Gateway D? And it's not really pedestrian friendly, I don't think. To get to Gateway on foot, it's all geared to cars. So I don't know. No, I mean I think I used to find it bad when Argos closed, to be honest, because it was a really good boon for the town because of how people would shop there. But like for my mum, when she used to come and visit, Argos was in the town centre. That doesn't happen very often, so she could pick up things that she needed to, and you know, it wasn't an issue. But once it moved out of town, it became more of a problem. Yeah. Well, I no, I agree. I get that sort of annoyance. I try to support the local shops, but then I've actually found that I can get, you know, if I need to, what with my sort of environmentally friendly shopping with Abel and Cole and the Milkman, I can get everything else from an independent in the town centre. So I'm trying to not use supermarkets. That's my thing where possible in lockdown. No. Yeah, I can believe it. I'm just drawing me my stones, and some of these I'm going to shade in a little bit darker with the pencil, slightly bigger towards the base. But you can. It doesn't have to look like that dry stone wall. So as long as you've got, and I won't do my Pam Ayres poem. I always do the Pam Ayres poem when I do dry stone walls. She did one. I won't do it in her voice though. It is, isn't it, my duck? I am a dry stone waller. All day I dry stone wall. Of all appalling calling, dry stone walling's worst of all. I don't know why I know that, and I don't know why I remember that. I've just always known that. That one and the one about a flit gun. I had a little flit gun. It was not devoid of charm. A bit of flit shot out of it, the rest shot up my arm. Um, Sometimes I don't know why things lodge into my brain, but they do. See, when I was a child living in the West Midlands, I always thought Pam Ayres was from Cornwall with her accent. Not down the road, because you don't hear that very often, and you only really hear it when you think of rural Cornwall or the two Ronnies, that kind of thing. So now I've got the stones in situ. I'm darkening in the cracks. Yeah, because the thing is with it, you don't want to think too much about it, otherwise your stones are going to look too perfect. And these are ancient stone walls that have just been touched up over the years. So you basically just want to make it random shapes and then make it fit. See, if you look now, if you, the left-hand side wall compared to the right-hand side wall, how much more solid and stone-like it looks. And all I've been doing is adding bits of texture in a stone shape, so it does work. I wouldn't get you to do it if it didn't work most of the time. I know. I think that's what's needed now, because we've got our pneumatic rubbers. We need a pneumatic elbow to flick the switch, and it speeds your arm up a little bit, but without the buzz, I think. It's lasagna day today, by the way.
And chicken wing day.
And chicken wing day.
And National Lipstick Day.
And a National Lipstick Day, Jackie said. Well, there's a day for everything. Well, there's several things in one day now.
I recommend a stay on one if you're.
I get this. Why do I get this information? I have a friend who's on Twitter, and she likes. Every day she does a post on what day it is today. She's a media marketing specialist, so she posts about it. And I have to say, sometimes it's quite useful for a business like us, but when it's animation day or handwriting day or pen day or World Watercolour Month or Independent Retailer Month, Independent Retailer Day, Indie Day. So it's quite useful, but some of the things are a bit useless, to be honest. However, if I was working in lipstick and it was International Lipstick Day, it would be very useful. However,
I recommend a long-lasting one if you're wearing a face mask for your shopping.
Okay, Jackie's just said she does, as it's International Lipstick Day, she recommends a long-lasting lipstick because it helps while you're wearing a face mask and it doesn't come off while you're out and shopping. I could say maybe try acrylic paint because I don't think that would move. But I'd go for cadmium hue rather than the real one because A, it's cheaper, also it's not toxic. As toxic. So I know. Because Jackie's all about her lipstick. She's like the lipstick queen. I've found, and I don't know if you found this, Chris, that I was shopping the other day, and I'd got my mask awry, and it had creased my beard upwards. So when I took it off, my beard was all over the place. Um, I looked like a Disney reject, yeah, from one of the Seven Dwarfs. I tell you, I was angry. I was grumpy for feeling so dopey. I should have been happy. Um, so yes, it did. But I obviously I have a tweed mask, obviously. Um, so it's a heavier fabric. So that might have been it. But yeah, it was ever so funny when I took it off.
Apparently it's also International Tiger Day.
Oh, it's International Tiger Day. Why is it all happening today?
Hmm?
What do you do on International Tiger Day? Eat tiger bread. Read The Tiger That Came to Tea.
Yeah, that'd be good.
It is a good story. Did you see the cartoon of it that was on over Christmas? Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, I love the ones that there was like the stick man I love as well, and all of those. I love a bit of an animation, I have to say, and always good for the Wallace and Gromits when they put those on. And Chris, I know you're a Wallace and Gromit fan. Did you ever like the Creature Comfort adverts as well before those? They were brill. Absolutely. Oh, really? Oh, animation is a wonderful. That's what I would have gone in if I'd have applied myself or something. I either wanted to do theatrical makeup, like for Casualty and that kind of thing, inspired by the Mrs. Doubtfire films and all of that. When I was a teen, and then animation. I loved. I ran an animation club for a while after school when I was in primary education. Um, Stop frame animation, plasticine and all of that, and that's why I made plasticine Barry and Jackie. But I haven't got the time to animate them. That was the aim. We were going to animate them in the shop, but it takes such a long time. But with modern phones, smartphones and things, it's so much better. I remember I did an animation for my A-level mock exam, and they hadn't got the right equipment in the art department, and they gave me an old camcorder. This was in the 90s, so an old camcorder in the 90s was really ancient. And what happened is you couldn't stop frame it. So if you pressed record and pressed stop, what would happen is it would always record 2 to 3 seconds rather than 1 second. So I always had to record several seconds and then stop it because of allowing it to jump forward and backwards. So it was so jerky. It was frustrating. And I mean, I had a 10-hour exam and I had to use all of it. But that was quite fun. It was an animation about an orangutan throwing a banana or something, I remember, called Monkey Business. It wouldn't have won any awards, I tell you. Some of it is, but Aardman. No, Aardman, I think, still do a lot in real life. I know Wallace and Gromit is all real life, and that dogs one that was done, the Isle of Dogs, was it, or something? There was one all about dogs, and Fantastic Mr. Fox animation that George Clooney played the voice of Mr. Fox. That was all done in stop motion animation, and they had to make it really rough and less fluid with the stop motion, so it looked like it was stop motion. So on older before the digital days, where you'd got a furry animal that you were trying to animate, you'd animate it, and where you'd touched it to move its arm or leg, the fur would be bent in a different direction, so then they'd have to comb the fur down. But with the modern animation, because people don't believe that it's not digital and it's they leave all of those sort of things showing through, so it looks more like an old style animation. But I think it's so clever, and the attention to detail, especially in Wallace and Gromit, in the sets that they make, and oh, it's so good. It really is. The top of my dry stone wall look like sandbags at the moment. I might play around with these in a bit, but it's 3:30. Can you believe it? But we've still got a few things to do. But don't you worry. Everything will be fine. Doing a few bits of stone on the floor. No, I think the longest thing we've just got basically grass and that bigger tree to put in. Oh, have you? You've done your big tree already. What with this pencil? Okay, yeah, that's where my go-to was going to be. I might use some of this just to do a few little squiggles in the foreground path, because it's sort of wood chip and wood bark and roots and textures. So a bit like the way I did the foliage, because we said it's about texture today. Hello, and today we're going to talk about texture. Apparently, your tongue knows exactly the texture of objects, even if you've never licked one before. So you could look at an object and you'd instantly know what it would feel like on your tongue, apparently. Yeah, but I think you sort of know a bit more, even more intricately about it. And I bet some of you are looking at things around the house and going, "Oh yes, it's true." I mean, I've it's amazing the things you learn, isn't it? And yes, I do need a life. I know. I don't need telly, but I just find it I find it interesting. At least I do. You should have seen the look Jackie gave me when I was just talking about this. It's like, what on earth? What planet? Yeah, no, nobody does. I also learned an interesting fact about the the world map. It's totally different. It's totally different in America. Yeah, they put America in the center of their world map, so you've got like half a continent on the left and half a continent on the right. They just split it in half. So so it's weird. I mean, I know it's very American centric, but I really didn't know that their world maps didn't look like our world maps. Hmm. That's true. Yes. Oh yeah, with Canada. What's so? Kathy, the world map in Canada, is that because what's in the middle of the normal world map is sort of part of Italy, isn't it? Is it Italy and the middle bit of Europe that's in the world map? Oh, is it? Are we in the middle of that one? Ah, that's interesting. So, because there was a wonderful website that I saw recently that what it does is because obviously with the world map, it talks about the curvature and everything. So the countries that we see aren't really the accurate sizes. So what this website has done is it had made it so you could pick any country and put it towards the side of another country to see the actual real relationship in size on the ground, as it were. It's amazing how some countries that look massive on the world map actually are not as big as they look, and vice versa, because of the curvature of the way that the world map has been shown. I find it absolutely fascinating. I love all of that kind of thing. Um, I love it. Russia then Canada. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. You see, Kathy's just said that Canada is the smaller country on top of America, even though it's actually geographically larger than America. It's interesting. It really is interesting, isn't it? But then you can see, not art related, how people's perceptions of things are totally skewed, aren't they? Because we all go by the visual representations of things, and if there are certain things that are thought to be bigger or appear bigger, even though they're actually not, then it does make your view of those places different, I suppose. So yeah, interesting. We haven't put any grass. We'll have to put some grass on. I'm going to go down to a 3B, I think, because I've not used that. Um, and I'm going to go little upward strokes. I'm leaving some white bits in between. So the grass should be a little bit darker than the the path, lighter than the wall. Yeah, I'm using a 3B. I haven't heard of Proarty, Jackie.
Oh,
I haven't acknowledged the email that I sent.
is there a particular person that you work with there?
No, it's whoever sends us the account. I've forgotten her name.
I'll resend it.
Oh, we can't have it twice.
Well, I'll put on it. I'm just checking that you received this.
Yes. Because they didn't do that last time, if you remember, and they lost the order.
I know, that's why I thought I'd do it.
Because I was expecting it to be here by now.
Yeah.
Unless they're expecting me to pay for the last order first. But they'd have to tell me these things. Oh, what's her name? Jane? No. Helen? Something like that. So this is sort of upward strokes, up and down strokes, and then going in a little bit darker with some solid flicks. Obviously I'm not going to keep you forever today. Keep it loose and scribbly. I've got to try and make sure my grass clumps don't look the same shape and height. It's funny, isn't it, that we do stuff like that. No, stick with it. So this is why we only do A4. Can you imagine if we were going to do these in A3 or bigger? We'd be here till Christmas. Because the last thing really to do is that tree, and I'll be doing that in a 7 or a 9B. I want it nice and dark so it comes forward, and possibly just erasing some of the highlights. But if I start lighter with the darker pencil, I'm not doing it right now, so don't panic. Then because I want the tree to come forward from the rest of the forest, you see. But the forked branch that's closest to us is actually the darkest, so I'm not going to go that dark straight away, but just by using a darker, softer pencil to begin with, it will bring it forward. But I love how global these classes have become since lockdown. I absolutely love that we've got Kathy from Canada and Kevin from Maryland.
Like the cookies.
And we get Sandy from France, don't we? For some of our classes, and Anne from Yorkshire.
I've got some Welsh.
And yeah, we have two from South Wales, Jill and Ellen. Uh, I absolutely, I love it. So yeah, it's the one thing I am thankful for lockdown for, that it forced me to broaden the horizons that I was, well, I, it was always on my planned list to do, but actually, it's one of those things that I'll do it tomorrow. It's like when you go on a diet, isn't it? You always start your diet on a Monday. I'll start it on Monday. I'll do it on Monday, and it was a bit like that with, yes, I know I need to do it, and I need an online shop, and I'll do it another day. And then it was forced upon me, and definitely not looking back. Right, so this is a 9B pencil I'm using. Still with the pencil on its edge because it helps get the texture. How is your sea white book, Liz? Good. So I've intentionally left the darker branch in the foreground out because that's going to be the same pencil. I do love drawing, and do you know, I never used to, if I'm honest. And I used to run a drawing class, and when I look at when I was, how old would I have been? 20, 21 when I ran a drawing class. No, maybe even 19, 20 when I ran a drawing class. When I find those folders out with my images that I drew then that I was teaching, my word, they're awful, really awful. Um, but as I've been teaching more and more and more, especially now we're doing weekly classes, I'm absolutely loving it. I really am. I find it a therapeutic in a totally different way to painting. Isn't it interesting? Um, I don't know. I think it's more rhythmic with drawing than painting. Same as calligraphy. I can be lost for hours, and all of the calligraphy students say exactly the same thing. And I know Sue, you've done some of the calligraphy classes, and you can just get totally lost, can't you? You don't realise that an hour and a half has gone because you're doing the rhythmic, repetitious letters. Um, I think it's fascinating, but yeah, my love of drawing. What interesting actually that when I was at college studying art, nearly all of when I found my art folder out, which I don't think I've got anymore, but when I did, nearly all of the things I did were either pencil, charcoal, or pastel. I didn't use paints back then because I did a lot of painting at home. You know, I was working in acrylics and oils and watercolours at home. So when I was at college, I did it all in pencil and charcoal. And that surprised me because I would have sworn that I didn't do that. So it's nice to get back into it, even though I didn't know I was getting back into it. So it's good. I'm just using a 9B. Yeah, and then just changing the pressure. Because I've put it on, but I'm just going to lightly dab the branches behind, just so it helps create more of a contrast. I'm not that filthy today, but I think I've still got my folders from when I used to teach my adult education classes in my youth. I used to do, because we had Michael Waugh and Angela Gorn were the two watercolour tutors, and then it was me that did drawing, acrylics and children's classes. I do slightly darker grass clumps at the front just to help bring things forward. So that's the thing when I talk about relationships and tone and that kind of stuff. So by doing this little right hand corner with the 9B, it's not a huge amount of grass, but what that does is it stops the tree that I've just drawn being, we want it to be the focal point, but we don't want it to be dominant. We want the viewer to be able to appreciate the rest of the scene. Yeah, so you don't want it just to be woo the tree, because otherwise you might as well just draw the tree on blank paper. You know, you want the viewer to just wander around with their eyes and land on the tree, but not sort of the be all and end all. I want to do a few more branches on here because I hadn't sketched them in. Yeah, I did a few. I only drew the big branches, but I ought to stick some small ones. You can, and I am. Denise. She just replied from Pro Arty. Denise, not Helen. I didn't call it a. That's all right. Didn't it? Helen, why don't you reply to my emails? That's because my name's Denise. Oh, I've enjoyed doing this today. Well, yeah. Well, that's it. You can take your time. Next Wednesday. Oh, we're doing beach huts and deck chairs. Now, I can tell you, do not get a headache ready for the deck chairs so you can't join in the class. They're going to be tricky, but it's a good drawing practice. So that's it, and I'm even waggling my finger at you all so you can see it on the camera. So you need to make sure you don't skive off next week's deck chairs and beach huts. It's more about the deck chairs next week. So I'll just tell you what's coming up for the rest of the week. I'm like CFAX now. Tomorrow morning is Art for the Anxious, and we're painting like Monet in acrylics. And then at 2 o'clock, we've got the watercolour class, which is the brown bear in the field of flowers. Nothing on Thursday evening. On Friday afternoon, it's Borthegest Beach and Rocks, and that's doing watercolours with rocks as with a credit card. Saturday morning is a free art demonstration at 11 o'clock on the main Facebook page, which is watercolour pencils and how to create a beach scene, and it's all the different techniques for how to use watercolour pencils. And Monday morning at 10 o'clock is the Great Broughton Art Group demonstration, which is a baby chick on black paper in acrylics. Then Monday evening at 7 o'clock we've got the brown bear in the field of flowers. Nothing next Tuesday afternoon, but next Tuesday evening is an elephant and calf in pencil at 7 o'clock. So there you go. Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed it, Liz. I am glad. It is something that you could fiddle with for a lot longer, I think. Thank you, Sue. Good, I'm glad you enjoyed it, Sue. Other Sue. I've got 2 Sues and 2 Christines today. But it's all about, what I will say is, if you find that your background trees are still quite dominant, roll your putty eraser over it and it will just soften it and push it back a bit, because what we've got that the photograph hasn't got is that we've created softer muted tones in the background and stronger, more textured tones in the foreground. So we've got definite layering, whereas in the painting it doesn't do that. In the photograph it doesn't do that as clearly. So we've sort of created our own sort of Photoshop by doing it in this way. As ever, I will post this photograph under the photo of the reference image that I posted earlier this morning. And I'd love to see what you do when you feel ready to post your creations. So thank you so much as always for your company. It's wonderful to have you with me, and I'm sure I'm welcome to any new people that have joined today, and it's lovely to have you too. So take care, and I will see you all very soon. Bye bye. Thank you. Bye bye.